Do you ever think that this whole limited liability and pardoning, because we have pardoning in America, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
That is how it is, yes? The American president can pardon practically anybody for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a turkey. It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think this is, I don't understand the symbology of the turkey. Thanksgiving, maybe, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it would be right to assume, then, that kings have a pardoning power, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? This must be one of the powers that they have. Limited liability. Now that shit can catch you off guard later on, can't it? And it also, kings... Yeah, this is what I like about the presidency structure in America is quite something. We also have limited liabilities in companies, but I've noticed that some companies are using this as a bad way, such as councils and stuff, that they start going into limited companies. So Saffron Housing is a limited company. They treat people like shit that speak up against them. And whilst we're looking over at other authoritarians and everything else, it's always like, no, don't look over here, go look over there.
Yeah, look how bad
Look
they
how
are
they
over
Look
there.
at what they're doing. Don't look at us. Don't look at what we're doing. Look at what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay to say that, but it's not okay to say this. So, and yeah, maybe Saffron have selective pinwheel of who they treat like shit and who they don't. And maybe they don't want to treat people like shit, but because they're bought from the council, they have to treat certain people like shit. Do you get? And it's okay, you'll be protected. Why? Because you've got limited liability now that you are CEOs and board members. You can't tell me that all the people through that are like, yeah, we're in it. Birds of a feather flock together. And then if they do something where it's subject to kill someone, and then where do you draw the line on that? Sexual abuse, rape, misogynism, man's world. What does it matter what you do? Discriminate, put bad chemicals? Come on, houses have been built with an awful amount of bad substances, okay? And yes, Saffron have inherited a few of these properties, don't get me wrong. But it's still a weird act for them not to do anything about it. That is strange. So it has come a long way, and perhaps the materials in today's world, overall, this house is pretty decent. I'm not going to lie. It's got a few teething problems, but its overall structure is pretty decent. Okay, minus the gutter leaking and the holes in the side of the window. I mean, so convenient. They were all on the same place, where the water pours down the house and different things like that, and their refusal to do that. So, it's still continuing, and this will make a property. Now we're in the world of mold. Okay, and it kills people. This is the problem with this. And I think it kills far more people than just that one person where they wrote the act for. And even with this act and statute being put into place, look how easily you can ignore it. So once it was too obvious because it smells, now we're going to make it so that we subtly creep in with the mold. Do you get what I mean? That's how this can look in that way. So it's now slowly getting in. And then you have to be aware of that pattern of behavior and then do something about it. Now, whether this is wholly Saffron is responsible fully, or the structure itself is pretty decent. However, if there are people that are in it, that are abusing the power, we can always have the power, which should reside with someone in this fucking nation, to go, yeah, out. And then we can bring other people into it. That's what would have been with the council. If it was under the council, which I wouldn't say council, what about central government? Most of these systems inherently are good, neither good nor bad, okay? The system of what is supposed to be expected from a system. A system isn't good and a system isn't evil. It is a system that operates. But if I get in there with the bad mind, I can make that system a fucking hellhole. And again, if I get in there with good intentions, I can make the system better. So it becomes neutral, the third point in itself, and then it all depends on who is in it at the time. Remember this, if we put in some people, let's say if you go into it with a bad mind, what am I going to be looking for? Other people who are like-minded. Then I'm going to use the hiring and firing and application form, psychological valuation, because I could then what? I have right to have spies then, don't I? An intelligence group of some sort, corporate intelligence, corporate spies. I could use these. And then what can I do? Well, it depends on what I want these spies to do, which gives overall central intelligence for governments an absolute fucking shit show of to wade through all of this shit. And then I might start hiring these spies to do psychological evaluation on people I might hire based on birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
Likewise, if this was in a good way, someone had good intentions, they're going to use it in an opposite way. And therefore, they're going to hire people based on good morals as opposed to bad morals. I think they hide behind this limited liability, but I don't think there should be limited liability. I think that we should keep it with leaders, perhaps not leaders. If the king does have immunity power, which, whether I like it or not, the problem is people are taught in a very rigid way. When someone does something, they'll bring the whole thing down. So Andrew walks forwards, perhaps in this environment, and then they can bring the whole structure of the palace down. But if, however, depending on what Andrew did, if it is in international waters somewhere else, we don't have legal jurisdiction in that area. And what they did there, that we cannot enforce the law that happened to an act that happened elsewhere. We just can't do it. Then it looks at what can we do to rebuild the structure. Well, it sounds really shitty for me to say this, but I'm going to go out and say it. I pardon Andrew, but I want data from you. American president can pardon all the people, because if not, it's going to get messy, suicidal, and everything else, okay? And it can collapse a lot of structures. Don't get me wrong. And the structures aren't bad nor good, but what you can get. Look, I need you to remain anonymous in this shit that you did. Whatever it was, but you all need to get together and create a blueprint. Why? Because we're going to use this going forwards. Going forwards, what would be a better approach? That we enhance things going forwards. And then we need to look at it as across the world stage to say, okay, what can we do about this? At the moment, we have this issue where if people buy an island somewhere, it's impossible to enforce law on an island. It's like trying to enforce laws into a tribal island. It's nigh on impossible to do so, because where does your jurisdiction ends. And it states that the laws govern the country, the people in the country. Likewise, if I then go out into another nation and I commit some crimes there, I will be punished there, sent back to my nation of origin, but I might not be punished. So I could go to a different nation, cause a load of shit, come back to the nation, and depending on whether the nation is going to be like, I ain't sending you back. No, it's okay, we're not going to be...
No extradition.
And this happens across the way. We have this already. We now have an issue which needs looking at. And if no one can get all the way around the table about this, you know, it's a bit like, okay, whether we believe it or not believe it, the whole Salisbury incident, the Novichok, whatever happened in that area with the plutonium and whatever. Again, it's like trying to enforce law that Russia are going to do here. We can't do that. We can't enforce that law there. And there you have it. So where we've got this, and now we've got Andrew and whoever else is involved with this stuff, the important thing is to gather the data. And what's that data? Well, be anonymous, but be brutally honest. This then helps us going forward to become aware of the telltale signs of this. And this is far more productive at protecting people going forwards. You can't go back in time and rewind this. And even if there was some way that we could create a law about this, and we do get successful with creating a law, and there's an international treaty and everything else done, then that's going forwards, but we can't apply that law beyond the point. It's like expecting everyone to go and upgrade their driving licenses once they got one in the 1940s, let's say. It's impossible, but still, let's just say if someone had a license in 1940s, and assuming they were still alive, you change the rules now, you can't apply it to these people. And even if you did, there would be anarchy. People would just, I think, throw in the towel. And that's the thing. But to do it this way, we then cause a massive situation, because people are then going to ask the question, how come this wasn't dealt with? How come that hasn't been dealt with, but this is being dealt with because of the type of person they are? Again, if the king has pardoning powers, he's going to be very reluctant to use them, depending on what, because then this is leverage for the king. Temporarily give that pardoning power to somebody else, let them pardon who they need to, and then going forwards, we need the data. We need the brutal honesty. How it happened, what started this XYZ. Once we've got all of that, this can help the intelligence agencies to formulate a pattern of trying to stop this if it happens in, at the end of the day, I would teach intelligence agencies as a way to play the Guy Fawkes role in this, to be able to knock it down before it gets to a certain area, or at very least, if there are children involved with this, to get the children and move them back. That would be a far beneficial way to deal with that. And again, it might need some special training and otherwise, but I'm pretty sure that you can meet the mark for that. But you need the data, and you need people to be honest. Now, here's the thing. If we even were to convict anyone in this, when we're seeing people starting to act a little bit, okay, this causes such a thing because then people can be bribed. If they do something and then someone has information, they can then say, hey, kingy, hey, government, hey, this, and this. Do you see then that's leverage? We know you pardoned because of this, and look at what we've got. If you don't do this, this creates bribes and everything else. The American pardoning is, again, there's immunity there. I get it. I understand that it's there because I think the people that built America in the beginning understood the people are not perfect. We do need to look at the justice system. There's no way is this a justice system. It's good. It's a building block. It's a brick in the structure. It doesn't mean that it has to stay there looking like a wall because when, we can think of it as flood defenses. You can build this flood defense. Wonderful. It's holding water. But as time goes on, the water level begins to rise and it starts pouring over the top. Oh no, what are we going to do? Oh, but that's just the way it always has been. This wall has always been like that. No, that's the structure of a justice system, human rights. We build up to cope with the rising water. And then we start having hindsight, but we bring it now. So we have precognition that, okay, if this wall the water had risen once before, can we build ahead of that and meet that? The answer is yes. I believe yes. So, I think that this can cause such a big problem for the structures. And yes, it will make new structures. But these structures that are coming, which is limited liability, they're evil. Not inherently the system isn't evil. It's worked and served a purpose and gone in the good. And we see that we've come a long way away from this sort of stuff. And then it's too expensive to renovate. We're just going to sell it. So what makes you think that someone on a startup, find me a person, and if you want, county council, can you give me a job that allows me to earn that much fucking money that I can buy a care home? Seriously, from you, for how much you're going to sell it for? Because in today's world, realistically speaking, who is going to be able to afford that? Take a look around. Who has got this money laying around?
Only some companies have money.
They can barely afford to pay a mortgage. So you see, this is already then lined up. This then narrated. Look, so we've got a population that earn below the minimum wage. And again, the wages are then controlled by the limited liability and the corporations. They're not. So already, look at this structure. If you're trying to sell it, who's your market? Well, it got a lot smaller, didn't it? Because you know that only a certain amount of people have that much money. The majority of people don't have that money. They can barely afford a house. Whether people are working on benefits, that's not fair opportunity. And that's already with limited liability because these companies then pick and choose who they pay the extra money to. Who gets to climb and who doesn't? Who even gets into their company based on a discriminative application form? This breaches human rights, which it does. But there again, how do you hold them responsible when they've got limited liability? That means built-in pardoning system. It's covert. America, I like it because they're quite obvious about it. At least Kennedy understands. They're very transparent. Yes, they have a pardoning power. They can pardon. And again, if the king has this, but yet we put it down to corporations, what are they going to be pardoning themselves from? And again, where it's obvious in other nations, isn't it? Where people disappear and then we see it in the papers and they suspect that someone killed this person and that person. Here, it's done on the sly, isn't it? So already, who is your Market County Council? Well, it's already people you've picked. And then let's dry the force a little bit more, because most of these families here have been inheriting lots of money. So it's going to be obvious that the people that inherited money are going to be a large percentage of this. Then is it based on an application process? Or if someone from the bottom was like trying to apply for something, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Because they could be integral people. These might fail the psychological evaluation and are good people and want to do good things, which then starts making all of the rest in the deck A. They will either have to align to this good person, and that might go against their grain and integrity, or they're going to have to shut up shop, and the one person from the soup, many people, will then build a structure that is far more better. And then this causes a narrative. People will start questioning, well, how can these people do it, but you have had it for this long and have never been able to do it? Then you have to start admitting that you've got a rigid system. This puts stress on intelligence agencies, and it's unnecessary. We move forwards with this limited liability, and that means corporations have the power that, as long as it's done inside a company, they're immune to it. And what we're supposed to expect that people in this are actually in any way, near shape or form to our benefit. When I look at some of the corporations, they've been in the food pyramids inside our schooling for a very long time, teaching us to eat all of this shit that now we're being told is no longer good for you. When they get found out that things are not great in their products, they refuse to remove it. It's limited liability, but we found poisonous subjects in washing up liquid. Substances in washing up liquid. Get it fixed. Trisodium. Yeah, either or. I think that was what it was called. It's now moved into showering products. It's now in stuff you wash on your skin.
Yeah, not just on your hands, but on the whole body.
Yeah, but now it's no longer on a plate where you could eat off of it, which they say that ingesting it is the baddest thing ever. You mean to tell me that as kids are washing in this stuff, they don't accidentally get a few splodges around their mouth?
Anyone, not just kids.
Yeah, this is anyone. And then it's absorbed into the skin, one of the biggest organs on the body. So you've gone from having it on a plate to now rubbing it over your whole body. And therefore, until people are found out, but then again, how many people have you killed with this? How many people have died from lung disease because of asbestos? How much has it burdened the NHS? How much is this running away to create a shitstorm that is foreseeable and you can do something about it? Oh man. And then are they moving over and putting all of these things in because we're going to find out that some very dodgy shit has been happening inside care homes? You're claiming that it's because you need to renovate. You've just renovated police stations. You've just renovated libraries. You've got the money for all of this needless bullshit. And then it becomes about that. It's too expensive. No. We're going to find some more come out of the woodwork, I think. And once again, it's about having a balanced leadership in the nation that looks at this stuff and addresses it. You know, the structure itself isn't exactly bad. But there again, who's going to be buying this? And then we get even smaller and even smaller. And again, and to tell me that this place is not fucking controlled, people think that you didn't work hard. Yeah, I know that people bullshit. They got a family member and can make them disappear, make them to be... When you are in control of all the records, you can make them come up from anywhere. You can bullshit the whole way that they walked out into the world and look at them struggle, which then gives false hope to everybody else. Come on, you got to keep... No, from as far back as I've been looking at it, we see a religious structure here. And you'll say that it isn't. It is. So didn't priests used to have the power to pardon people? You did some things you didn't get right with God, you got some gold.
Yeah.
If you give me that gold, I will pardon you.
You're absolved of the sins.
You were absolved. Yes, exactly. As long as you confess to it.
And people were scared, so they would do that. And if they didn't have money and they could do another service, whatever.
So it used to be fear something that was a higher power. again, it wasn't perfect, but it was definitely a shite sight better than what we're seeing now. But you were getting data, actively getting data. Now, to follow up on that, were the priests, again, to enhance what the priests were doing as this power of pardoning, were they then actively then write task force, make sure that doesn't happen again? You see with this gold that they give, I'm going to pay you a wage with this. Go make sure they don't do that again. Or is it more easier to go, next?
Yeah.
You see, so you understand that it's a standard system, and whether you could look at it as bad, I can also look at this as being quite constructive, which then keeps the structure. And again, if your work is to protect the structure, I think that most intelligence agencies should be important to be hired based on protecting structures as opposed to protecting individuals. I mean, protect the structures that then get the right people in. And I think that that then ensures that you're going to have a job that goes on, right?
Yeah.
And it must be more exciting to have more of this new stuff rather than doing the same rigmarole shit every day. Yeah, it's sort of like being a mesh of intelligence plus SAS. In, out when it needs to be. It's not impenetrable to being bought out, but again, if you are ghosts, most of the time people don't know. And that's the best way to be. Why? Because it stops you being bought out. You know, if you know who they all are, you can go and or perhaps try and bribe. I don't know how you break the ice on that shit, but still, you know, even if people are trying to bribe, you'd be like, how can I use this to my advantage? But not personal, but as in to help the system, maybe. Because, again, that keeps you in a job. So, yeah, if King does have the power to pardon, then pardon this shit and let's get the data from it. And then let's try and find a constructive way. The crowd, it's not about what people think, but you know how this can be put into people's minds. And I don't think anyone's going to get this too well. They're just going to want blood and bring it all down. And it's going to be like columns, isn't it? This limited liability thing, this needs looking at. Application forms also needs looking at. The justice system needs looking at. American presidency, the way it's been built is that the forefathers understood something, that no one was perfect, right? That is one thing. If you put in pardoning, what are you already thinking about? No one's truly perfect. Or is it a deeper mechanism than that we all make mistakes? Then should we be aligning our justice system, one, that serves the nation, and two, serves the individual?
Yeah.
That's a win-win situation, isn't it? Not one that depletes the pot and makes a mockery of the justice system. The justice system is a fine thing as it is, but it needs enhancing. It's been built up to a certain level. And again, to have this limited liability makes you ask the question, why don't we all go limited?
Yeah.
What happens if every person on the planet went limited? And they started doing things, hey, you got no jurisdiction here. Because police officers tell you that, you know, I was once assaulted by someone in Saffron, right? Don't get me wrong. And the police said there's not a lot we can really do about it. Why? Because they're a corporation. All we can do is have a word. Okay then. Do you understand that is something? And then they can put you into bad properties based on whether they like you or not, discrimination, based on where you fall in the category. That breaches human rights. And then they want to get rid of human rights? What human rights when it comes to limited liability? Application forms means I can discriminate. You just watch the difference. Is it the fact that we have not got people in a job, or is it the fact that I don't like your tattoos? You kind of know, you just...
Yeah.
I don't like the colour of your outfit. I don't like... I can so much discriminate you easily and just pretend, hide it, covert, you know, just not the right person. And then is it based on you're not the right person, or is it you fit here, but just your look?
Yeah.
Your teeth are just not straight enough, but I can't say that to you. So I'm just going to go, next. Sorry, we found someone who was more qualified. We're still looking. That's just an illusion. 3, 2, 1. You're back into the room. Good? Did it work? It works. Right, go on, fuck off. Next. In this company, we pay minimum wage. Like they're proud of that shit.
Yeah.
Most houses are built around corporations. Don't tell me they're not. This house has been engineered to be very cold. It's been sorted now. And now we're starting to see a dew point on the outside of the house. That is amazing. That means that it is built so that you have to burn through a lot more gas, which then means that you have to pay a lot more.
Yeah.
Showers are built to drain as much water as possible. So are toilets. That means that the toilets are invented to help Anglian water.
Yeah.
This worked in the beginning when we weren't reaching climate critical. But to take that into space is absolutely ridiculous. And that is the next frontier. And what? To go into it with limited liability? Then that means no one will be responsible. And then what the hell are you really worried about? Why don't you allow people to go to space then? Who cares, you know? If we can do this, do that, do this. But fuck it, anyone can do anything. You're already doing anything. That means more people will start to do something. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. No, you need to align the structures because then you get data on space and then you lot will all start relaxing your batties down.
Yeah.
You have to align to it now. Better modules, taking care of things, using as little as possible. This is the bit I don't understand, right? Let's say if you're going through £500, let's say during the winter, on gas. Let's just say, argument's sake, 500 smackers. And you're using, let's just say, 1.5 cubic meters of gas, yes? For argument's sake, you mean to tell me that you can't lower that, still get the same heat from that, and it only costs around, let's say, that it narrows down to around 90 quid. It would be even less than this, would you believe that? You mean to tell me that you couldn't make that price go up to £250 for less gas? And let's just say you're going to use 5 meters. No. Let's just say you're going to use 0.5 cubic meters of gas. Let's just say, roughly, yes. You're going to use less gas. You could charge it at £250, still make a profit. And what's more, you can then bring down the impacts on people's lives. What? That's a win-win situation, and you save a resource. You can up it slightly, not up it back to 500 quid for using a little bit. I would make sure there were laws on that to make sure, no, not laws. There should be fucking in an independence, a Bill of Rights. It's structured in this way that it doesn't take the piss this way. Minimum fucking wage? You mean to tell me that after all of the ancestors gave you all of these products that you then sell back to us, and you have the audacity to pay the very people, the families that gave you all of those structures, and you have a right to discriminate people? That's fucking kick in the teeth, that is. So we go from a tribal island where people were doing their things, taking care of the resources, only using what they needed, were farming their own food. You come in, take it all away, make people build up your fucking shit, which was technically theirs. Then you remove this away for them and make them jump for the very little. The fuck is that? Then you cut down all of the fucking trees.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts to open up that your structure wasn't as good as you... It was an illusion. Sorry to shatter it. Not actually. I don't enjoy it and I don't, hate it either. It's... someone's got to say it. It's a weird system. Now, is it broken? No. Is this way the answer? I don't think it is. And anyway, even if it does go this way, well, I'll shift again. I always find a way. Always find a way. Never have I ever never found a way. I will always find it. Even if we shift over to this, I'll find a way to... So, yeah. But I think that you don't need to. I think that it's going to be a lot of people are going to find their way through this one. And I think it ends you a lot quicker than you realise. No, and if the council can't deal with this stuff, then it's time to start closing the doors on the buildings, really, isn't it? Here's P45. Why? Because there's no more for a structure. The police force, why did they need that money on a building? If you never saw it, right? The way they were knocking down the old building and rebuilding up a new one. Solar panels, this, everything.
I never
Care
understood.
homes, we can't afford it. Wait, what? You've converted most of the NHSs and everything else. You're generating more power than those things use. And you must be selling it to people. And you mean to tell me that you can't afford it? So you sold council houses back in the day, and you're now at an ability where you can no longer afford stuff. Do tell me what is the bright idea of repeating this process again would be. Honestly, I think the police force needs restructuring. I think that needs to be brought into centralised government, not with the councils, because it's too much power has gone out.
Yeah.
And is it operating the way that it's beneficial? No, I don't think it is. No, and ask anybody else. And, you know, if you walk up to people and you had a real decent cop, you know, look, this is how I see it. It's 50-50. Sign this. Either you go your own separate ways, both of you, sign it. The next time this happens, well, you're going to have to go here. We've got this weird thing in the world where sexual maturity. This is a weird thing, right? So you can change your preference for your body. By and large, I don't think it 100% matters in the grand scheme of things. It's very strange. We come from hermaphrodites. And there is this growing trend of people wanting to go back into becoming hermaphrodites. If the world was born as hermaphrodites, what would you choose?
I'll choose. How do you choose?
If you were a hermaphrodite and you could choose which...
But if you are hermaphrodite, you don't have to. So
You don't have to choose, there you are, but you see how it's unlocked something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's got something to do with some of these E numbers and shit and stuff they put into food. Who knows what they're putting into that stuff?
Yeah.
You see, this is the problem. I think it was going to be more in water. Water companies, when these went over, this is not what we went to. We went to war against something like this. And we've become the structure itself. Now, is this all at the end? No. Someone needs to start gathering this stuff that they're selling and going, okay, we'll take that. There is pardoning powers. I know there is here. Definitely. There's 100% there is something to do with that. But it's on the of caution. Find someone that's got nothing to lose that will pardon this situation. However, I do want your data. I want the data. Because if it means that going forward we can stop this from happening again, we can tighten up the laws, then we've got to be able to talk on the world stage and say, we got an issue. And then we all have to find our way, but that will never happen. And do you know why I know it will never happen? Because if certain groups want to come over and do some stuff here, and they'll say, hey, it was one of our people, you've got limited jurisdiction about it. And this is just one of many. This was obvious, maybe. It was put out into the papers and everything else.
Yeah.
It backfired spectacularly because we have the same thing in the nation against our own people. This, again, is against own people, and you can't call it if you're doing it or if your nation is structured to do it. You cannot call it out.
Yeah.
If your own nation is operating in this way, just covert. This one was just more covert as well, but it was put out in the open. So, do I hate that situation? Neither. I'm in the middle. It's the people that, got that. But again, many people are exposure to asbestos. How many people have died from this, and we're just calling it cancer?
Yeah. Yeah, because they didn't know, so they didn't go for any medical checkup, because they had no idea. And it's not just with asbestos, but with other things as well. They just didn't know, so for them it was cancer or some kind of disease.
Yeah, I think along with a lot of the cemeteries, they also need looking at. Honestly, I do. I think there needs to be a better structure put in place. Hey, how about this, but we go on to be a catacombs? How many people find that actually quite nice? Well, at least some people will be walking past your bones. Once you've done your bit in the ground, you'll be moved to over here. I think people would love this. Why? Because it would trend. People love trends, don't they? How do you expect your bones to be laid out once they're put inside here? I want mine like this. Yeah, that speaks volumes. And I want a cap on my skull. We have to make sure that it's done. This then starts driving wealth towards that. But again, it's not going to work on a fucking minimum wage. We have catacombs. What do you want? Is it okay? People are going to be looking around these. Don't ask if it's okay. People will be looking around these places, and we're going to charge people so that we can make more plots of land. Because at the end of the day, this is something that needs to be dealt with. It's a morbid topic, but still. Oh, fucking right, go for it. We're going to be making monies off your bones. Because people are going to walk around maybe in centuries. And slowly but surely, these will crumble away until there's a solution. You know, all short of, is it hydrogen? Nitrogen. Hydrogen. Nitrogen. I always confuse these two. It's hydrogen, isn't it? Liquid hydrogen.
Yeah.
And crumble the bones. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. How do you feel about being cremated? It's a bit hellish, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of the weird things I ever saw. It was like in a church. It was like, this is the crematorium. Oh, fuck me. You do have hell here then. I thought you said that you were going to burn. Never mind. Never mind. I'd expect you to do it. Burning steaks and stuff. I'm joking, but I'm also not. This is comedy, but it also isn't. It's truthful, isn't it? You will go to hell. See that?
Yeah, that goes, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably rather fitting, isn't it? Heaven above, hell below. You know, just sort of.
Yeah, that's where the furnace is.
You were a good person, a godly person. Into the crematorium you go. Wait, is it cremation?
Yeah, crematorium. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whether I believe that God is in a place where it's cold, I don't know. You mean to tell me that heaven is fucking ice?
No, it's not. It's not depicted like that, is it?
Well, that's okay. You'd probably end up falling in love with a Disney princess somewhere. Skating on the ice somewhere. Who knows, you know? Kind of strange. No, I think it's overlooked. Often we look at it as to being too cold or too hot. No, I think heaven is what we would understand as an optimal temperature. Anyway, moving off topic, but still, it relates into the church this and everything else. So, prisons, they definitely need looking at. Care homes as a whole, yeah, something needs to be done about these. I think giving these to corporations behind closed doors somewhere else, I think that's fucked up. That is going to lead into problematic, or if it's somewhere where people can see.
But no, they are all privately owned.
I thought this one you went to was pretty decent.
This one, the last one?
This new one that you're at now?
This new one that
It
is...
does not label...
That is housing with care. That's not care
From
home
what you've told
as
me
such.
about that, and I can only gather
yeah.
on what you've told me, that one sounds like a pretty damn good idea. That sounds pretty good. In contrast, is it easier than the other places? Not easier in the fact that it's, wow, holiday maker, but is it more relaxed as opposed to...
It's easier on both sides because people have their freedoms. Tenants, they are tenants, not residents, because they pay rent and they live there in their own flats with their own stuff. And if they don't want to get up early in the morning, they don't have to.
They can refuse medication.
They can refuse medication. They can refuse wash or something, or do not have one, or do it themselves, or whatever. So that's different. So we just go around, ask them what they need. If they need help with breakfast or
Shouldn't
lunch
tell me
or
too
something.
much, but
that is
simple,
general.
general.
That is general information. Yeah.
That sounds like it works.
Yeah.
Well, I think the real issue is about this whole situation. It just reveals that everyone puts such an emphasis on the word money.
Yeah.
This is all it is, emphasis on the word money. How are you, hunter-gatherer? What do you mean, God? Well, how are you? I didn't have enough money. What did you need the money for? I don't know. I was going to buy something from a tree. I was going to buy some fruit. I was going to buy a shelter. Because the more this grows with this, what you are really saying that if it was still tribal, things would be okay. And that the fact that you've got in with all of this know-it-all bullshit, and now it's too expensive. Emphasis on the word expensive. So you are admitting that money is destroying our nation.
Yes, it is. But in order for those groups to be above the rest, they have to have something that the rest of the people do not have enough. That's how they structured it, didn't they?
All right, which then leads into entitlement.
Yeah.
And then it means that you are so beneath people that I can just, fuck you off?
Yeah, they are better people and we are beneath people.
So it wouldn't matter if you... And to take it as a hierarchy, this is basically the way it is, isn't it? It's very animalistic in a, non-animalistic world? That we are above animals. But you, dirty.
Yeah.
So yeah, this whole thing with, in different nations, the legal age to consensual sex at an age, it's not about consent on the individual, it's about the parents, which is interesting. Therefore, you can have different... And whereas one parent says no, often than not, kids might be defiant and go off and do something with somebody at some... Where does that stand then? Because they've seen it that their friend was okay to do it because mum and dad said that it was okay. This is weird. And then what, we draw the margin at 18? Or is it 16? I'm not sure. It's changed so many times. And then around the world, this is not the same. There are differences in ages, and again, it's a topic that no one wants to look at, even myself. The reason why I want the data from some of this stuff is because we can build something where it helps. I don't like using the word victims. People that are going to go through that. Yeah. By and large, where do you stand on that? That's the thing. And is it because we fall into a victim society, or was it good at the time, but afterwards it becomes the victim narrative because the crowd is like, oh, poor you. Oh, what that's outrageous. And then we start filling a belief system into, which then alters the minds of the way people can respond to that. It's interesting. Some of the situations I've walked through in my own life, people are like, oh, my days, I was talking about it with not seeing one of my children, yes? Yeah. And some people are like, I just don't know how you do this. I know people that have done this, that have blown them, that have done it, that they're no longer here, basically. Now, does that mean I should be doing that, or...
Or
and then other events that you've walked through, people are like, but other people would have lost their minds by now. But you didn't lose your... Why did you not lose... I just don't understand it. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe it was... And then it's almost conditioning you as to say, there. You're supposed to be acting like a certain... Wait, what? I'm supposed to act a certain way, break in a certain way, collapse in a certain way, based on what people are wanting you to do, rather than looking at the situation and going, how are we going to fix this? Stop looking at me, whether I'm a victim or not. I may surprise you on that one. Sure, I get stuck on things and I do resurface them because I think talking about it helps. Bring it outwardly, verbally if you must. We live in this world where people are like, oh God, you're being so toxic. Oh my God, you're not acting like a victim. Why are you not acting like a victim? As soon as you start acting like a victim, what happens? Oh my God, you're so toxic. Wait, what? An insult to injury? I mean, that is, that's special. This is the behaviour as opposed to looking at this structure and going, how are we going to stop that happening again? Well, we can't. Why not? Because limited liability. Shinny, mate. Shinny. Let's go on. Almost like you're abnormal for not breaking, but yet the system that allows this to happen is what? Because they're too busy focusing on whether you're a victim or not. Yeah. And I get it. Some people mean it well, and I understand that. going forwards, I think a lot, if your mind is malleable or, yeah, very influential, you can be influenced really easily. Then you act what stronger minds say you should be acting like. Never mind that the system was structured in such a way to cause this response. And you are looking at the response of an individual who is not responding the way they should. Meaning that the structure was by design, and you know it, to create this outcome. Fact is, it didn't work, and all of a sudden, it draws you all out like magnets. Did you see that? It's a bit like putting wet bread on a splinter. And then watching the response. I'm looking at this response thinking, wait a minute. It says maybe there are some people genuine on that and want to gain some information of how others can walk through that same stuff. I don't know if I want other people to walk through the same stuff. I think that you look at the system and think, how can we stop this? Now again, are there victims on all of these people that these individuals did under Epstein and different things? Are they still alive? Are they still here? And do you think that there could be an offer made to these people to cushion the impact, get them the help that they need if they feel it?
Yeah.
And get a lot of data where they can become constructive? Yes, it happened. Can't change it. We really can't. As a way to stop this from happening again is far more empowering to somebody that we would class as a victim, but not a survivor. God, these words are terrible. Someone that just went through it in a situation, and it sounds terrible, but it is. Just view it. I guess that is good. Tim is right. Some of this stuff echoes round, and in some of it I like. Other bits of it, I'm like, nah, didn't like the ending. It's right, it's a bit like Stephen King on his movies, right? But a lot of it is true. Yes, it is just an event at the end of the day. I think. I don't know. Just find you. Do you? I don't know. It's something. Unresolved situations. You can get through that. You can. But I think the data is more important because there's so much. It would be unfair to start this off and then it reaches a pinnacle and then it's like not guilty based on this, and this. Yeah. And then to act upon it and rule there, it's going to open. It's going to start to open a group up where people are going to start asking questions and saying, how come you couldn't do it with these? How come you couldn't do it with that? How come you could only do it with this? It's only a matter of time before that starts. And then it may seem that it's heartless, but actual fact, what happens when a company goes, oh my God, we can't do this anymore. We're going to have to close. Look at all of this redundancy. What's your take home? About 50 billion. You mean to tell me that you couldn't just step down from that company because you didn't get, you was expected to get 60 billion that year, but you only got 50 billion, and therefore the company's not working the way you wanted it to, so you step down, close the doors, make people redundant, and you don't mean to tell me that anyone in that workforce, hey guys, do you want around 50 billion a year? It's going to be slowing down slowly, but do you want to come and be a CEO? You guys want to be board members?
Yeah, did you want some millions a year?
We're going to still keep the job structure and we're not going to make people redundant or anything. Did you want to take over this company? You mean to tell me that people in that company are like, wait, what the fuck? Oh, fucking hell. Here we go again. So can we not structure a government that has loads of these individuals from DWP? You want to be a retained CEO or board member? Everybody would want that. Even the people at the job centre themselves. I'm signing myself up. Well, of course you would. Absolutely. Yes, go for it. But there will not be limited liability. It will be structured like this. These are the things to look out for. Can we then create a new breed of CEOs that, one, start taking a failing company, and can we not prop it? And then what's more, if this is linked into the job centre, can we not offer more better paid jobs to people? I mean, you're going back because you didn't get 60 billion. I can assure you these people would be happy with an extra fucking £1,000 in their wage packet a month. These people wouldn't haggle over that. Anything else on the top is just leftover lolly. They wouldn't give a shit. Even if it was structured this way, because it was built by the tax pot, we're going to put a large leftover lolly into the tax pot. Well, why is that? Well, because, you know, one, it's going to save people from losing jobs. Two, can we make it a better work environment and set the precedent off? The answer is yes. You're closing the doors. That's the bit that you know, limited responsibility, right? You've got this whole workforce under you and you're going to be shutting the doors. Why? Well, because we didn't get this. Can we not get some other people in there and they've got a new direction that they go, hey, Temu. Is it Temu? Amazon. We got your cheap, what's your cheapest stuff that you could do for us if we bought it in bulk? What for? Well, this place here has got so much expensive stuff in it. They're like trying to sell it. The old company were trying to sell it for like, you know, 40, 50 quid for these brands. We're going to be filling it with something a little bit more different in order to keep the doors open, or at least try. Well, we can make you this much, and it will cost this much. Can we convert that into something else? Can we keep the doors open? That's the question. As opposed to, no, one person has the power to go redundancy to everyone. This company's now going bankrupt. Bankrupt on 40 billion? What the fuck, man? I'd be happy to go bankrupt on 40 billion, but that's limited liability, you see. Limited means that it's limited to those resources. Limited. Gone. Do you want some shares? Do you want to fuck off? We'll buy your share. Do you want to piss off? But you won't get anywhere if you don't let us invest in your shares. Do you still? Bugger off. Shares, at the end of the day, in most of these companies, do you want to grab a chair and come up? But no, I'll just give you money. You fuck it up or make it. Kind of weird. It's weird, isn't it? You know, and maybe it doesn't work, and maybe it does. But it's kind of strange. And with this care home situation here, that's weird. The hell is your structure? And I guess it's because you're responsible. So does that then mean that here we need some level of pardoning then? But then it's going to need to go to some sort of justice-y, whether hidden or not. It depends on how high you are, and it depends on whether your family are going to be in that firing line. Can some things be dealt with this way? And I mean, it is, in some circumstances, putting people in a family like this that have been so used to things. I tried to process it. What's it like to go to prison from someone that had everything? Where your family are in the limelight. You've spent most of your life away from people. What is that? That takes its fucking toll. And you're going to get double whammies because of, one, that's for who you are. Two, that's because my family suffered. And three, that's because of what you did. I mean, that's... Every time I try and figure this, it breaks. It doesn't work. And then if you were to build a 2-tier prison, people will be like, they've got it easy. Do you understand? That is very interesting. But then should it be held with a pardoning with the government? Maybe, maybe not. Should it be an independent branch that temporarily holds the power, whoever gives it, and it's based on temporary, where they can take it back at any time they want? Yeah. Especially if they start noticing, you see, because that's the problem, it's going to be corrupted and they might start paying individuals to do it. And then if you have one that's a bit more, we'll give it to someone. Okay, no, now you, back to you. No, maybe not. To you, to me, to you, to these people. And I think that's how you keep the corruption free in that. And what's more, it does give liability limited, but it's got to be heard. Heard by individuals. Because look at this, right? This is where I think it's going, right? So Houses of Parliament are responsible. Councils are responsible. convert all of the companies into CEOs limited liability, and then get them into the House of Lords. House of Lords is full of business owners with limited responsibility, therefore limited reliability, and then they become the new parliament, where everybody's limited responsibility. I mean, it's taken a while. America did it a bit more easy, and they just created pardoning. It was straightforward, isn't it? But then that means that the president at the time, because they're jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out, they have the power to pardon. Therefore, you go see them. And sure, they might corrupt it. Absolutely, of course they can. But not for long. If somebody else in America rises up, and they might choose not to during that term, and then there is this, and this. But again, don't they then have the power to have that final say on that situation? Mm-hmm. And I think it would be more incentivized that this way is doing it in a very backward, very slow, very grimy way. And then it means that you can then what? Kill people in properties? Utilize all the acts and statutes? Then it means that what was the point in making those laws? Going to start, can I go to a bank? Can I have a loan, please? What do you want the loan for? What's your business plan? My business plan is to go LTD and create a court under limited. I'm going to put people away who may not be guilty, and I'm also going to let people out who may not be innocent, but it's okay because I'll be limited. Gotcha? And then it's like, whoa. Oh, and in the process, did I forget to mention, I'm going to be a bastard along the way. Anyway, maybe it's not as cut and dry as that, but I don't know. It seems a bit weird to me. Why would you need it if you had no intentions? You got nothing to hide. You got nothing to worry about. So yeah, the police structure needs restructuring completely. Yeah. I think that it belongs to the council. Council heads might incentivize money, restrict money, maybe, possibly. It's very corrupted. Limited liability, should it be limited liability, or should there be a hidden hearing that is being conducted, and based on the impacts where people strategize what the outcome could be, that there will be punishments made, probably kick you in the bollocks where it hurts. And where's that then? Your wallet. That is crucifying. And also, with this money that you've just given, look at what we're going to do with it. Oh, look, we're going to help these people here. Look at this. Look. You look at this. See? Oh, isn't that nice? I mean, they must hate that. And then you can create structures going forward from that of how, with this group that gets this information, and yes, they've pardoned, yes, they've done this, but at the same time, how do we prevent this? Because the impact is this. The outcome could potentially be this one. It could also be this one. It's very unlikely to be this one, but this one's still one to look at. But it's going to be mainly this one. And I think this is why they're trying to move it over. And again, I don't know. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Because then no one has power over anybody in that structure. Who has power? What happens if they then start doing things to the other companies? Arguments will always erode. They all act like they're good people towards one another, but I bet behind closed doors, fucking cunt. I bet they are. I don't think it's any different. And then it's all just an accident. And then somewhere along the lines that this would be okay to people if they saw prison as this way. Rehabilitation. But it also gets people to count their chickens, as long as there's none of that happening. If not, it's this one for indefinite amount of time. And again, you make the decision based on the rehabilitation, don't you? And what's more better, rehabilitation? And then there's data to learn what happens. Does it work? And if it does work, what happens if we apply that to the masses? Does it stop that crime from ever happening? And if it does, well, would it be okay, which I think it would, to still charge the same tax at that ratio? And if wages have gone up and people are like, you know what, it's actually working to my benefit, and everyone is feeling that. And then if it goes to evolve things, it's more money for an NHS. Once you've got that down, it's still, people often think that as soon as the NHS has got through the waiting list, that we've got to close the doors on the hospital. That's ridiculous. No one ever does that. No one does that. That is stupidity. But it's going to require a tax. Now, if it's not being utilised, it's just going to need to be maintained. That's wonderful. But at the end of the day, if you still took that tax, and it would be realistic enough to say, we're planning on this project, this project, out of the leftover of this, that project will drop as soon as there's an insurgence of something that needs to be dealt with the NHS. And then all hands on deck as quickly as that. It grows with the staff members until it dwindles down, and then the money funds become, and maybe that project doesn't continue. And then leaders have a pot to play with to say, we're going to be making this, this, and this. Now, people aren't voting based on that and not popularity. It's about what people need in society. What would they like to see better of? And I think that makes better leaders because they've got more to play with.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't think of nothing, you're eventually going to lie, aren't you? But if you have something to do with that, it keeps you very busy, very focused. It keeps the nation focused.
Yeah.
It can create new and exciting jobs. A decent wage, this, that, and the other. And I think that we look at this tax pot as to be the most sacred thing ever. Wouldn't it be nice to build a tax pot that anyone can go and get a loan from it? Because they could become the next fucking pioneers. Wouldn't it be great to have a tax pot that was so robust that as soon as you fell, it catched you? It caught you. Mid-fall. Got you the treatment and said, do not worry. Family, this is a tough time. He needs your support. Family, this is a tough time. She needs your support. Get in there. Your job will be secure when you get on your feet. Here you are. We're gonna support that. That is much robust system. That's a safeguard for people. It's also going to safeguard for when you become elderly, but we can't do it if we're all. And if we've got a burden on one and a burden on another, or we've got way too many police officers that are not actually doing police work, then we need to have a retained system, because where we let go of you, it works with firefighters, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Works with military. You're going to do twiddle your thumbs for a bit? It would be nice to have a bit more of a pay packet to be able to do other things.
Yeah.
Looking at all of those aeroplanes and helicopters and not really doing a lot with them. You ever fancy ferrying people to hospital? Fucking would love to fly that thing. I never became a fighter pilot to blah-de-da-de. It's better than the alternate.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we plan to get this list down. Why? Because I think you guys would be pretty good in space. You know, learn it little bit by little bit until eventually you're comfortable in that. You're there if you need to activate when something goes wrong here. But by and large, that's where you dropped it. I don't know. I just feel an excitement in that. And I don't know if it's a personal thing, but when I think of myself as a fighter pilot, or being in the army, or being in any type of military background, that excites me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I pull in this information and then think, right, what could this? It's the thrill. I think it's the thrill of it.
Mm-hmm.
There becomes a whole branch of new medals to get. There becomes a whole branch of new achievements. There's one thing I know with military individuals is they often like this.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that looks good, doesn't it? That looks good on your uniform. Fucking right. Make you a bit more balanced now. There we are.
Yeah.
And then being able to get that coming in, and, you know, that's very important, I think. We're all going to need it. We're all going to need it. But yeah, I think that you have to change these structures to start with. At the moment, we've got a debt with the prisons. I don't care what anyone says. What are we doing? Fucking putting them all in brands? Playing Big Brother and D47. A prisoner is doing this. I mean, fucking hell, that would be crazy. But again, Big Brother in a prison. I mean, might start making some money, right? Stick a few ads on it. If we can get this to a balance, where they're making stuff that this is focused, okay, and then people will be like, it's easy time then. Do you want to sign up? It pays for the keep, which then means that you still keep taking the tax. You must still keep taking the tax, and I can't stress to the population enough. It's one thing to say we're going to take the tax, but if people don't see what's coming out the other end of that, here's the plan. Plan is that we balance this to work like this. Okay, we got the standard one, which is cheaper on the taxpayer, okay, by this much. Now, rather than allowing this to have a tax reduction, that wouldn't be great. What we're thinking is utilizing this money to go space, to go here, to go there, to build the education, to go into the NHS. They're going to work for it, and it's going to be expensive for that anyway, so that takes X amount out of the wages anyway. To save it, there should be a threshold on that. There are the victims. I hate that word, but still.
Yeah, I understand.
Now, if that doesn't go directly as a cash payment to a victim, no, it goes in order to help them get help. Maybe they need to see a psychologist or someone, or have some therapy exercise, or just get away from a bit, have a holiday, I don't know, whatever it may be, do your thing. It's there for you to do it from them, and I guess that pisses them off even more. But again, maybe not, because then they begin to turn that whatever, and if it was a genuinely spur of the moment thing, they have a chance to at least try and rectify that, and at least try and settle that for the individual that they did it to. And there you are. You begin to douse the flames. Plus, this burdens off of the taxpayer. It really doesn't, because it could then go to help NHS treatment. It could then go to a better benefit system. It could go to them building better houses. It could then go to the military of getting people out into space, which then means bringing in more resources, which means getting an edge of the curve, which you want to think about, it will come anyway. If houses align to this, we start building modules, we get better food. All types, we don't need to import it, it all grows here. And the same for other nations too. And then we begin to trade quantum with one another. Look, we built a module like this. Oh, we added this into it. Oh, but we added this bit here. Yeah, we didn't do that. That's pretty... Do you want to swap it? We'll let you have this. We show you how to do it. And then they build it and do it in a way, and it's like, whoa, we never thought of doing that. I just add it here, look, and it does this. Fucking yes, that is brilliant. Do we need to exchange money on that? It seems ridiculous, whereas we're all building the same sort of module, which then helps all the people in our civilizations. If you think about it, all of the people that... Now, that looks good.
Yeah.
That looks good, don't you think?
Yeah.
And then if this begins to roll out, because if you think that there's this problem with this land here, if you've got an island, you seem to be a bit immune. I'm not sure how flexible that really is, but it's weird. There seems to be this mismatch already, so I think that it's very hard to police things. And if you committed a crime in a certain nation and you came back and they managed to get you back, I'm pretty sure Americans would be like, there's no fucking way that person is going back there. And then it's probably vice versa as well, because I think that this is just how it is, isn't it? Interesting. And the... Where is a database then? If kids can choose to change their... Is it sexuality?
Yeah.
And they can consent to that, then at what age should consent to who they want to be with? And at what age they feel mature enough to do that? And then what database could be created where they make that decision for themselves? At what age do you allow that? Because then you'll start to see a rise in teen pregnancies. I think this is what it all boils down to, doesn't it? Is that and then maybe there might be this happen, that happen, and this happen, because there really isn't no cut and shut case, really. What men do to females is illegal. What women do to males is accepted. It's kind of weird that it is so fractured. Boys have a higher consent rate, don't they? It's younger for boys and older for girls, isn't it?
In what way?
I
It
don't know if
used
it's
to
still
be in the
true.
past,
I don't know if it is still.
definitely. I don't know now, but I know that in the past it was like that. Yeah.
But there is a misnomer then been taught into a lot of people. That's the issue with it.
Yeah.
It's okay teaching the next generation, but that's all hush hush though, isn't it? That
Yeah.
teaching, they don't know about that. You've got to teach everybody it. And that's why it's important to find a baseline and stick to it. You've got to understand there's also cell memory. You know the rodent experiment, zap in and they jump?
Yeah.
You know that it was tradition across the world, near enough when we go back into tribes, that there was no age limit. Then it was 13, and then it was younger than that. Then it was accepted this, then it's been... And who's right? The past is right or the future is right? Is it because we're more educated about this stuff or we're not? Are we more sensitive? What is this?
Yeah.
Is it control? Dominance? Is it you want the best, or is it what is this all about? That's the thing. And then we've got this very thing that we hold in ourselves, this information, you know, where people have these patterns that have...
Yeah.
And that's interesting, isn't it? That's cell memory. How long is that going to last for in generations if they can't even break generational trauma loops?
Yeah.
Then this thing seems to be quite the thing. Interesting. Very interesting. Is that why there's rehabilitation there? Is it because of this? And then we allow cultures to come in from other nations that don't have this margin in their nation. And then you say that people that come from their nation have to act in this way. How do you police that in a minority group of individuals from a certain background?
You can't do that.
It's very difficult, isn't it? And then what do you do in the world? Do you do it to the youngest person around the world and then align your cultures up to it? Because what you've got is they'll say, well, we ain't fucking changing it. And then these ones say, well, we ain't fucking lowering it. We ain't hiring it. And then what have you got?
Yeah.
You know, this kind of... And then we've got it going on in our own country as well, where the goalposts keep changing. No one is told.
Yeah.
Then you've got cell memory, generational baggage. I love that. That is going to be my new one. Generational baggage. You know, we've all got it.
Yeah.
And most of us only know our mums, don't we? Because we're like single culture, single mum culture. Most of us don't know our fathers, or we don't ever see them. Like, you got to look on your mum's side. You mean to tell me I didn't inherit anything from my dad? It's like doing shadow work in your own family lineage, and it's always like on mum's side. That's like set you up to fail. And I started looking at my dad's side, and I was like, oh my God, close the door on that shit for a second. I used to want mum's baggage or something, right? And then when I started going through this even further, the understanding your family from grandparents, oh my days, it gets incredibly insane. It forks out like a nervous system. Is the only way I can explain it. And then it depends on, you start here, okay, now that fans out this way, okay, then they fan out this way, and then they're fanning out this way, and it's like, oh my days. That was just one side of the family. Now let's look at that side of the family for a quick hot second.
I see.
Then you're like a convergence point of both of these. Which bit are you? Somewhere in the middle of this catastrophe and that catastrophe. Also, on the positive note, also these positive things here and these positive things here. I wonder if they cancel each other out. Nope, it doesn't. But it could. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of baggage there.
Yeah.
And we pass things down, although we don't realise. You see, this is when AI is going to open our eyes to stuff. But if we didn't delete profiles off of Facebook and we kept all of this and just stored it into the fucking ether, if it's even possible, which it is because it's already beaming out. Well, I don't think it is so much anymore. Anyway, but still, if we were to keep this, and we were to keep like let's say YouTube, and we keep all of these videos, and then what? 150 years later, are these people going to be acting very similar to be able to understand cell memory a lot more? Oh, you're like your great granddad, or 1,500 years later, and with all these profiles, and then you're really able to begin to chase that. And I think that should be backed against DNA as well. Do you know what I mean? Like the way it changes, and it's very beautiful. It's magic. I guess with AI, you can do this, and you begin to see what other people can do in their heads. You already focused this in your, and then where you see mum plus dad and children, then plus these become mum and dad plus children. And you get to see how it enhances where they've learned those new cell memory skills from. Mum's side, dad's side, mum's side. And then you begin to see, well, they're kind of like this one back in the great-great-great-grandfather, but they're also like great-great-great-grandmother on this side. They're almost like a mix of the two.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a Terry on steroids. With bigger teeth. And if we're in space, like a little blobby thing. Cartilage. And that would be interesting, wouldn't it? That really would. But yeah, so again, we have a lot of things that need looking at. That's what it says. And that's the data that comes from that. And then the people that went through those moments on both sides. One, we then learn the telltale signs that, you know, these flags that begin to be like, hang on a minute, we've seen this behavior before. Let's just keep an eye on these ones for a second. Okay, right, we're going to safeguard this person, and then we're going to sort this out. And then can we get in there with the rehabilitation before there is an event? Which is good for this person, and it's good for that person, because you're not making any, right? That's the data that is needed from these moments. And if it was all stripped down to anonymous, we don't know who's who, but we get the brutal honesty that matches up to the person that went through the event and the other person that, let's say, was influencing the event. We get real-time data of how heal, how to be able to do this, and then how to be able to help someone in that situation or feels that they're falling into that situation, of a blueprint of how to get out of it. Which I think is more beneficial than you needing to go to tell someone, because it might be embarrassing. And that is embarrassment that is the biggest thing. They don't have, and usually they might not know that it's wrong. That's the interesting thing. And then this becomes empowering.
Yeah.
What to do in this situation. It's already there. No one's judging you. You haven't got the embarrassment. And I think that it is better to stop it before it happens, as opposed to treat it after it's happened. And that's where, if you get this data, you can really begin to start seeing flags, markers, ticks. You begin to learn a behavior. None of us are looking at this. Well, we are and we're not. And then it's so fragmented because we get so emotional about it, and rightly so or wrongly so. But we need to put all of that in a very difficult way behind us to be able to look going forwards of how many other people we can safeguard from this. And if it means letting a few fish go, finding out what works, finding out this, we can then get in there beforehand rather than after an event. And I think that's important. I've seen some people like this, and you're reacting in the moment. Nothing's really being done, to be honest, because you are too busy in the emotion. And yet it's data that is very valuable, because no one's watching this. And then when you start to, hello, there's a... And again, if that was learned beforehand, that person may never have done what that person had done. And I draw the line when it's a baby, by the way. So, you know, I just don't know where I draw the line on this shit. That one is definitely that's fucking mental. Anyway, that's where, if you saw that situation and then you think backwards without the emotion, it's taken a long way to get to this point, then if people when seeing what you saw, which again it came across at the time that I was being unreasonable,
Yeah.
that I was being a bastard, that I was being the one that was being dramatic. That's how it came across. If people could see those signs as clearly as that, I often assume that other people can see it too. Clearly not. Not because they're better and I'm worse and I'm better and they're worse. No, just because we often ostrich those situations. We want to bury our head and it's not happening. It's too painful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But if we were to know those signs, and they're there, then you can get in there at that moment. That's when it's critical, because then it stops somebody else from going through that, and it stops them getting in a whole lot of fucking trouble. And if you have got an urge, it's an urge. I don't know what's going through your makeup at that time. Clearly something. Because if you've got the whole group mentality, my word, and a double take on that one as well, you have some sort of impulse there, and I don't know what it is. That's the thing. And are we ever going to know what that actually feels like? That's the thing. I can compare it to some things that I have impulses to, depending on whether it's a craving of some sorts and certain behaviors to have a cigarette and do this, that, and the other. It's similar to a sort of to them, that they have this urge, and it's those moments would be when to get in and start developing, because I don't know, maybe these people are trapped in something and this overwhelms them and they just lose their sense of humanity for a bit, and can they be everyday decent people if you can fix them? That's the question. And often we find the rehabilitation stuff works afterwards. Does it work before? But in order for it to work before, you need to be able to identify. So this information then can help go a long way, that then prevents this from happening again, which sort of gets around that international difference in laws, right?
Yeah.
That it was your island, it may well be, but we're here to safeguard the people that get into that situation, and whether that means coming down like the fucking SAS or whatever else and off they go. And then that sends a clear message to those individuals, and those individuals that are in it, whoever goes through that is then removed out of the situation, and these ones are then highly watched, which then markers get done, and then they can't do that. You help, you need some help, as opposed to clean that up afterwards. I think is a better way to go. And again, it depends on what structure they're in. Kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I understand the limited liability. I mean, if it's inside a gentry that is supposed to be at, everyone's been taught that there's supposed to be standards and this, and this, and someone deviates from the standards, we blame the whole structure. You already...
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, isn't it? So, and again, it might not be inherently so. There's good and bad in everything. Boils down to probably a choice at that moment, but there you are. And whether it is or it isn't. So yeah, pardoning then becomes nigh on impossible. And then even if it was possible, it then means there's leverage based on the information. If someone's got information and you pardon, there can be leverage. That's the difference with a structure that stays in as a power family, that stays as furniture, as opposed to presidents that come and go.
Yeah.
There's a big difference there. So I see a correlation here and then it makes it harder to... it makes a checkmate. That's a checkmate situation.
Yeah.
But it also walks towards limited liability, which again, I don't know about that. That is problematic, futuristic. In the future, that's problem. Big one. one that you're trying to jump out of the pot and you land into the fire with that one. Often as it goes, isn't it? That's how it usually goes. You jump out of the fire. Or some would say into the gravy, or some would say you jump out of the pot into the fire.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like fire. I like it a lot. You grow. So yeah, yeah, I'd restructure it. I'd make it better, but still, and I understand that there is a need for this shit, and now I understand why this shit is in existence, because it's about I guess the knowing there was that you needed this sort of stuff. And then anyone that has exposed it, what do you want to do? Do you want to use it as leverage, or do you want to defend people going forwards? Because, you know, even if I was to look at this as a solicitor or a court or a case, there's multiple avenues that it just won't stand.
Yeah.
Public opinion, it will.
Mm-hmm.
Legal, it's... I don't think it will.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's too many variables in this case for it to be. And again, the invention of AI and everything else, it's very difficult to be able to. And then if you bring this software out, people might start looking back at old pictures, seeing whether they can find whether there are. But there again, even that can be hidden. Even I could use AI and it will say yes, because look, we cut something and put it on here and it's shown it. What happens if I cut the whole fucking picture?
Yeah.
What about if I cut everything in the picture? Then it becomes normal noise. But if I cut one thing and add it to the picture, then you can tell because that's been added. But what happens if I then start cutting pictures? All of it. The lot. Well, the whole thing's going to come up. Oh, yeah, that must be. I think it's going to be quite difficult to be able to tell the difference. I know. I think if I sat with that long enough, I could forge images. I reckon I could do it. I reckon I could trick the very system, because once you've learnt it, you then understand its weak points, and then you press those, and there you are. Interesting. Everything has this. Everything has it. There's always a way. Always a way. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's where I'd probably go. I'd go with that. Maybe I'd be labelled a cunt during the process, but you know what? Someone's got to do it somewhere. You know, to go this way, it's just going to cause a whole lot of ruffled feathers everywhere. People are getting stressed, want to commit suicide and do this. But you are beginning to show data. But even in a movement like this, to go limited liability, you are already admitting something. Your behaviour, you're shifting, you're creating clusters, ripples. It's more like the oh shit. Then how successful was it here? Not very successful. Because this structure then goes on to create more variables in your system, and then it brings you down faster. So yeah, interesting. That's an interesting thing. Very interesting. And even if it does bring down the system, it's then again, if it's the right people, hopefully they got better minds on their shoulders to be able to patch before there's a breach.
Mm-hmm.
Not the stuff that stops people, but the stuff that uplifts people, because the whole of society, before all of these systems were in place, were built by people coming together. The hardest times were during the hunter-gatherers, making that transition from one to the other. And they did it beautifully. But they were supporting one another. That's what made it possible. This is the curse when it starts going towards trying to refine and confine people in this way. This is what makes it break. It's almost like it's encoded to go a certain way in all of us.
Yeah.
Beautiful, isn't it? And then it depends on when that gets awakened. We've got a lot of stuff in us. We're not too sure what it all is. But that's what I hear them say. Yeah, I think you're starting to figure it out. And you can spend your whole lifetime staring at something and not realize what it is, and then it activates and it throws you by surprise. It's not the activation that causes it, it's certain other things that knock on effects that You'll be there. It's a sinking ship, multiple holes in it, and you're trying to plug them all. Good luck with that. And it's fast. It's very fast. By the time you've patched 1, 4 pop up. By the time you've done those 4, another 8, 16, and so on. And yeah, something safeguards life forms that's definitely higher than human understanding at the current moment. And you want to try and fight that force? I don't know about that. But there you are. So yeah, pardoning. What's my drawing the line under it, or whether it's a good thing or bad thing? Yeah, I guess if I was in this family and I was thinking about that, I can see why I would create something like this. Because of the way it's structured, right?
Yeah.
But no, I think energy would be wasted in trying to go for all of these, and we know there's a few of them, quite a few maybe, who knows? But it would be much better to get the data from these, anonymously and honestly. I think that's better resources spent, as opposed to throwing it through courts and shit. I think that's just... it gives people false hope, and I don't know, that would teeter. I'm not sure that's the right way to go. But anyway, who cares, you know? If you don't give a shit and carry your little asses on, or if you do, then... yeah, I think the energy is better elsewhere, because what's it about? Stealing power? A power grab? A shift in power? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same? Or is this really boils down to protecting vulnerable individuals? What's it really about?
Yeah.
I think it should be about the latter. And vulnerable people is on both sides of the spectrum, by the way. If you've got some way that you're doing something and you have an urge or whatever it may be, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're vulnerable to influence too. And these are vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
And then that creates a whole vulnerability in the whole structure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to leave this one here. Yeah, I'm going to definitely leave. There are things to do.